Bye. And we start with our next session on Tripura tea.
That's on the same link, is it?
Hello?
We continue on this link or we log in again?
No. You can continue with the same link if you want to hear the next session.
Yeah.
The link is the same. Over to you, Madhupala, to take the session forward.
Yeah. Thank you, Bodhishat.
Yeah.
I welcome you all to the Tripura Tea Conclave, which will be addressed by some of the eminent speakers, like representative from Ministry of Commerce, who looks after logistics, Dr. S.K. Ahiriwal, Deputy Secretary, who looks after Bangladesh, Ministry of External Affairs, Government of India. We have with us Deputy Chairman Teapot, Mr. Arun Kumar Ray, Mr. Prabhat Besbarua, Chairman Teapot of India. Dignitaries. We will have Mr. Santosh Saha, Bodhi, stop your microphone. We have with us Mr. Santosh Saha, Chairman, Tripura Tea Development Corporation. We have Mr. Vidyanand, Advisor, Northeast Tea Association, and former Vice Chairman, Dr. Pradeep Barua, Chief Advising Officer,
এত বারণ করি এত বলি তখন তো ভেবে যায় না কি বলবো বলো হ্যালো
Bodhisatto, so stop your microphone.
Oh, sorry.
Stop your microphone. We have with us Dr. Pradeep Barua, Chief Advising Officer, Toklal Tea Research Institute. We have Shubhas Dash, Additional Director, Department of Industries and Commerce, Government of Tripura. Mr. Keshi Vaishya, Deputy Director, Tea Development, Teapot India, Northeast Zonal Office. We have with us Mr. Atul Rastogi, Head of Operations and MD, Lakshmi Tea. Mr. G. Marlos, CEO, Lakshmi Ramandan Tea Operations. We will be starting our session sharp at 2 o'clock. Hello, Mr. Rastogi. I welcome you.
Yes, good afternoon, Madhuban. I can hear you. Yeah.
Good afternoon, sir. Good afternoon, sir. I can see Mr. Dr. Pradeep Barua. Welcome, sir. I'm Madhuparna, Director, ICC. I welcome Mr. Bes Barua. We have a long session today, 2 consecutive sessions for ICC, sir. Thanks for joining us, sir.
Thank you.
Mr. Kamal Vaishya, welcome you all, sir, to this webinar.
Good afternoon, Madhuparna.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon, Atul. Good afternoon, sir. কেমন আছেন? Mr. Ray, good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Fine.
Good to see you. Thank you for organizing a program on Tripura. Usually a forgotten part of the tea universe, but thanks for remembering this, corner of our corner of the world. Mr. Kamal Baishya from the Ministry of Commerce has joined. Madhuparna?
Not yet, sir. Not yet, sir.
I can see him.
Oh, Mr. Vaishya is from Teapot.
From Teapot Northeast Office.
Mr. Karan Bansal is the Deputy Secretary, Bangladesh Ministry of External Affairs, sir. They are joining, sir. We are in touch with them.
Good afternoon, Prabhata.
Why don't you start? I think you can start off.
Yes.
Let me wait till
Just
2
2 o'clock.
o'clock.
2 o'clock.
One more minute and then we'll start.
Oh, okay. Sorry, it was at 2 o'clock.
Madhuparna, please check with MOC and Ministry
Yes,
of
sir.
External Affairs and ensure that they join in the next 5 minutes because I'll be
Yes,
done
sir.
in 2 minutes.
Okay, sir. Sir.
I actually specifically requested logistics of MOC to join because that is an issue in Tripura. And External Affairs because of the Bangladesh aspect. Also, Prabhata, I have requested the guy who heads our African operation, Jim Melrose.
Yeah, I noticed.
Because-
That's a great idea.
Because the small grower discussion, he can say how it happens there.
Yeah, that's a great idea. That we need some cross pollination.
Right. Thank you. So I'm drinking green tea from Golokpur. It's not Darjeeling. Green tea from Golokpur.
Yeah, both of them are joining soon.
Okay. Give 2 minutes.
Yeah.
Let us give 2 minutes for them to join.
Yeah, but- Let me check. Mr. Bansal has joined, I think.
Hello. Yes, I have
Yes,
joined.
Mr. Bansal. Yeah. Welcome, sir.
Good afternoon to all of you.
Good afternoon, sir.
I can't hear. I think Mr. Rudra Chatterjee speaking something.
Right. Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon,
Welcome.
Mr. Chatterjee. How are you? Welcome.
Doing very well. I know I accosted the Ministry of Commerce to ensure that we have representation on this webinar, because Tripura is very far from the center of the country, and logistics is a very big issue. So it's thank you for making the time. I know that you'll have to leave soon.
Always pleasure.
Thank you. So, but with your joining,
Pleasure,
I think we are ready to start. So, on behalf of Indian Chamber of Commerce, it is my honor to invite all of you who are panelists today, and the many attendees who have joined. This is a special occasion where we are doing this webinar for the Tripura tea industry. We had an earlier webinar which was very interactive, where tea industry in general, all over India, was discussed. But I'm very glad that Teapot has decided to have a special session on the Tripura industry, because some of the issues in India are exacerbated in Tripura. So logistics cost, for example, is a huge issue in Tripura. Tripura used to be very easy to get to from Calcutta before Bangladesh or Pakistan was formed. It was a very short drive from Calcutta to Agartala. But now it has become at the corner of the country, which is landlocked. It cannot move easily. So tea costs a lot of money to get from Tripura to other parts of India. And coal is extremely expensive in Tripura. That is one of those issues. Many factors, which are being done by many things that are being done by the government of India, I'm sure will be discussed. But so far, our cost is still very high when it comes to logistics. Number two, Tripura is basically jutting into Bangladesh. And Bangladesh is tea deficient. Tea is being imported from other countries into Bangladesh. So there is an occasion to help Tripura tea by selling a small quantity of tea to Bangladesh. And I'm sure, because we have, I had requested Mr. Shringla, and Mr. Shringla has sent, his regards. He understands the issue very well, because he used to be the ambassador of Bangladesh when I had actually personally went and met Sheikh Hasina, Honorable Prime Minister of Bangladesh, to discuss this issue. And so we have the representative of Bangladesh issues in the Ministry of External Affairs also joining us to talk about this matter. And we will have representative from the Bangladesh government joining us. So both Indian government and Bangladesh government. So that is also going to be very interesting. The third issue about Tripura is it is largely small grower dominated. A lot of small farmers, villagers. Lakshmi has an interest in Tripura, but there are lots of small producers who are not organized. When you have small growers and farmers, that can be both a blessing and a curse. It is a blessing if you are making good quality tea. The small growers can make a lot of money out of it. And the tea then, as a per kg, the transport cost and all those issues becomes less of a factor. If the tea is 300 rupees, a 15 rupee transport cost is not as big a factor versus if the tea is 120 rupees. When it is, a huge transport cost becomes a big issue. So to talk about quality, we will have Jim Melrose, who till very recently was the managing director of a company called PFI, which has gardens in Malawi, which is 100% small farmers. And now he is the CEO of Silverback Tea, which is Lakshmi is the majority shareholder of that company in Rwanda. So he will bring the focus on smallholder tea estates, which Rwanda also has. How Rwanda does very well, and smallholders get paid well, but there's a lot of quality aspects. So these are the ways we are having this conference. Instead of having just speeches one after the other, we want to talk about the three big themes. But the most important people here are the people from the government of Tripura. from the tea industry of Tripura, the Tripura Tea Development Corporation and other participants. It is they who will carry this discussion forward, and it is with them that we hope to solve those issues. I know personally that the Honorable Chief Minister of Tripura is extremely keen to make high quality teas in Tripura. Every time I have a conversation with him, he asks me, have I been able to sell the Tripura tea for 10,000 rupees? So I say that we are still very, very far away from 10,000 rupees. But we have been able to sell some good price teas to Teapot recently. And they are selling that. And interestingly, we have quite a significant order from Kazakhstan. It's going to be quite a exciting prospect of getting from one landlocked part of the world to another landlocked part of the world. But it's a big demand from Tripura tea is going all the way to Almaty. So we have lots of opportunities, lots of challenges, and I hope that we use this as a working session, because Tripura tea has so many challenges that we should not just give speeches and move on, but think of takeaways and action points, which along with the chamber, the private sector, the governments of Tripura and the governments of India, hopefully we can all make something work. It is a small state. The problem doesn't take that long to solve if one just focuses its mind on, and Tripura can become an example of how these kind of issues can be solved. With that, I welcome all of you and look forward to a productive discussion.
Thank you, Mr. Chatterjee, for giving a direction to the webinar. This is Atul Rastogi. I'm working with Lakshmi Tea. We have a long experience in Tripura, so it is one of the states which everybody should, that as a Swadeshi movement, tea came up in Tripura. In fact, the natives planted tea there. That's the only state where the Britishers never went for tea plantations. Today, the production is almost 9 billion from that state. And post the independence of partition, the logistics of Tripura became the most difficult in the country. Today, almost 20% of the cost of production in Tripura accounts for power, fuel, and freight, which are the key inputs required for the production. Coal, which is almost 2,000 per ton more expensive in Tripura than it is to the other northeast tea growing areas, and which accounts to almost 10% cost of the cost of production. That adds almost 2 rupees a kg on coal. Power, which is a state with abundant power, but because of the other logistic issues, the power cost is almost higher by almost 2 rupees compared to the other, because the grid availability is almost 70 to 75%. A large part, almost 25% of the production is made on diesel generation, which adds a lot to the cost, which is almost 3 times the cost of the normal power available there. The freight cost, which is accounts for almost 3 rupees more than our neighboring Assam and North Bengal cost on the freight of the input cost and of the finished goods. A lot of tea which is dispatched from there either to Calcutta or to Guwahati auction, there's an additional cost of almost 3 rupees a kg borne by the Tripura producers. So these are largely the 3 important factors. Just for an understanding, the price realization of Tripura tea is almost 20% lower to counterparts of the teas made in Dohas or Tarai comparatively, and with additional 20% cost because of this logistics. So that puts the economics of Tripura tea into a very difficult position. I will request Dr. Ariwar from the Ministry of Commerce, the Department of Commerce, who's handling logistics, to help us to understand how what solutions can be brought to the industry in Tripura. Over to Dr. Ariwar.
Yeah, I'm Dr. Ahirwar, right? So,
yes. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thanks, Atul, and also Mr. Chakravarti. And I, in fact, thank all of you, the government of Tripura and the tea industry and the Chamber of Commerce for inviting us to this forum. And it's a privilege to be interacting with the prime movers of the economy. And especially, when it comes to the prime movers of economy, the tea and coffee, they actually, accelerates us and our energies. So I definitely feel like privileged to be interacting with you, and I will try to suggest something which can help you in so-called the logistics aspect of the tea industry. We understand that the logistics in India is generally in a fragmented state, and there's a much want of integration, consolidation, and of course infrastructural developments. But the last component, that is infrastructure development, is a long-drawn process, and you cannot get quick results or immediate results from that process. However, we have a lot of areas where we can have interventions, digital intervention, or some application of new ideas, innovations, where we can improve, which can help us really, in reduction of the logistics cost. Now, but before, looking at the so-called logistics cost, we need to understand what logistics mean. As I've tried to understand what Mr. Rastogi just stated, that other logistics costs constitute about 20% of the cost of tea production. Now, this logistics itself is a vague term, and when you add other also to it, it further becomes vague, right? And once the problem becomes vague, it's really difficult to think about the solutions. So let me first, clarify. I'm just reiterating, though we all understand what logistics is, but I'm reiterating. The cost of reiteration, please bear with me. Logistics is just transportation, warehousing, means the storage, or any other software services which are required to be included when we send out a commodity from the point of production to the consumer of that commodity. Now, here, if we include power also in it, or fuel cost also in it, it should not be called as logistics cost. The logistics cost also include, when I say others, you also tend to include anything which is like either invisible or cannot be talked about. Maybe it may include like that corruption money, or the delays, or the rent-seeking behavior of the system. So all those things, when we include in the logistics and without defining it, we tend to lose the sight of the problem. So if we confine ourselves to the logistics per se, and I'm further saying that I'm not talking about the logistics or the supply chain logistics. Supply chain logistics is very specific to the industry, a particular industry. And for that, I would be more listening from you to understand the problems of logistics supply chain. But the logistics per se, general logistics, we'll have to just understand that it is transportation, storage, and the software services involved in sending the goods up to the consumer point of consumption. Now, as we understand, in Tripura, as any other northeastern state, would have lots of infrastructure constraints as far as logistics is concerned. And added to that, you have international boundaries, and you are a kind of you have to be accessed through that chicken neck, and for connecting to the mainland India. So and then there would be Bangladesh waters involved, and then inland waterways issues, the protocol route, and all had a hell of the problems. If we can, of course, solve those problems, we have a much shorter route to reach Tripura from the mainland India. But that at present is not an available option. Now, the options which I see which are available is what is called the integration, which can bring about in the logistics sector by greater use of digitization. Now, digitization, when I say, it means that aggregation of the services which are already available. This would help us in aggregating the truck services, aggregating the storage warehousing services, aggregating even the rail services or air freight services. But for that, there has to be an aggregation platform or digital platform, maybe which can be developed specifically for Tripura or the northeastern states. There can be an initiative from the tea industry itself, which can create a logistics digital platform, which can be an aggregator of the services, which can be even sponsored by Indian Chamber of Commerce or any other industry association, which would specifically cater to the logistics requirements of the tea industry and in the northeastern region. This may also have on board a kind of the community of the traders, right? So on one side, there are logistics service providers, and on other, the consumers of the logistics services, that is the industry. If we can have such a digital platform, maybe it is sponsored by the government of Tripura, maybe it is sponsored by industry, or even by government of India, but government of India would be looking at the larger picture, that is for the nation. Now, in this regard, we have also had a couple of initiatives taken by logistics division, and we are coming out with, one is the logistics policy, which intends to bring about integration in the logistics sector and with a special focus on northeastern states. And second initiative is development of our national logistics portal, all right, which would have all the services, I will say the logistics service providers on board, major, minor, government who are in the government sector or in the private sector, all are going to be on board. So that's a very ambitious project. It would also have traders, it would have the shipping industry, it would be integrated with customs, the participative government agencies, or any other certification agencies involved in the trade. So like agriculture generally, and the tea industry in particular would have lots of certification involved. Just one sec, I'll have to take a important call, please. Hello. Yes, madam. Yeah. I'm just on other VC. Right, but then you
So while Mr. Ahirwar is attending to his call, I think we are hearing him talk about logistics in Tripura. If there's any questions that Mr. Rastogi wants to take, what we need to specifically talk about is.
I will like to answer.
Yes.
While the freight itself, because of the distance involved and it's almost a weak addition to any input reaching or finished good going out from there compared to any of the neighboring tea growing areas. That itself, the freight itself is almost 3 rupees additional cost on the cost of production there. By bringing in coal, the issue was that coal is an important input for us there, and the coal comes through by road. If from the Coal India or any of the mines, it can come in coal rail racks, and a depot can be created in Tripura, Agartala, or at a Apurchan place. That will certainly reduce a lot of logistic costs. Is also because of coming through road, and that all adds up to the costs. The major part is on that. If the Coal India sends coal directly to depots there in Tripura by rail, a lot of cost can be saved from there. Availability will also become easier to the industry. During monsoons, we have to hold stocks 6 months in advance during the dry period, because we know during the rains, the road blockages and all would add difficulties for us from that perspective. I will just add, sir, while freight is a cost which is entirely on transportation of raw material coming in, or the finished goods going out of Tripura, which itself is almost 3 rupees a kg cost on the cost of production. But by coal, I meant because coal is not produced in Tripura; it comes from the neighboring states. Because presently all coal comes through by road, and there are a lot of bottlenecks en route, and which adds up to the cost. As a landed cost to me, it works out almost twice the cost. X is the cost at the mine, and it is 2x when it's landed to me. What we were looking at that from the Coal India mines, Eastern coal fields or wherever, if the coal can come in rail racks to coal depots in Tripura, that will cut down a lot of unwanted cost in transit, and the availability will become easier to the industry. Today, because of the logistic difficulties during the monsoons of landslides, blockages, and various other things which keep happening, we have to stock almost 4 to 5 months of stock. That's an inventory loss to the industry there. We have no choice. While bulk of our production start in July, but bulk of our coal is stored from January to March, April, because we don't want to get caught in a scenario when, because the road blockade, there is delay in the supply chain of coal and the production stops. These all adds to cost there, sir. And that is why if railways become trade depots in Tripura, and then we can source it as per our need. That will cut down a lot of inventory costs which we are presently bearing. That is the thought on that.
You're on mute, sir.
Okay. Hello. Hello, can I come back now? Hello. Can everybody?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, thank you. So yeah, I was talking about that logistics portal. So that's one solution to maybe large number of problems we may have once we have that in place. But yes, again, that is a project going on relatively on a slower track, but we are trying to accelerate that process, and maybe we may see it being realized. But yeah, before that, we'll also have to have a regional or the state level strategy, which may, if I can say, it is like the logistics policy for the state. I mean, state means Tripura state or maybe a northeastern region as well. So the state can also have a logistics policy where we can address all these issues of integration and the so-called, as Mr. Atul was just talking about, the that inventory cost for coal and ensuring availability of the coal. Now here again, I could appreciate one thing, that there's a problem of consolidation. Now, rakes are available for transportation of coal, and the coal producers, the mine owners, they are also looking for the market. And on the other side, the consumers are also craving for the coal. Now, but things are not clicking. The need again here is for consolidation. Now, who would have this depots created? I mean, it is a wish made. Now, somebody will have to take the responsibility, or maybe look at it as a business option to create coal depots. Since you have a dependence on West Bengal for coal, Eastern coal field, as you said, you will have to have coal procured during the good season, the fair weather, right? And create depots which would be like de facto coal mines created in Tripura. So that would ensure that the price remains stable and the availability and the supply remains steady. So that can be, again, has to be done by the industry. There can be a consolidation. There can be consolidation of the demand in different periods by the industry or the industry players. And then the demand can be consolidated, and one individual, one agency can, have a kind of contract with multiple buyers of the coal or consumers of the coal in Tripura, and then accordingly procure coal in bulk and then sell it. So, I mean, this is a suggestion. I mean, I don't know. There might be already some initiative in the industry, maybe of different scales. So, this is what my emphasis is only on consolidation, integration, and for that, greater use of digitization. And at the state level, I think the state should have a logistics policy. And here I would like to give a pause and then listen to you all. Over to Atul, please.
Sir, we were looking for, in case the from the center or from the state can get into. See, Bricklin is a equally big industry in Tripura, and their requirement is coal in the dry period, and tea industry has a requirement of coal in the rains period. You know, it is a perfect arrangement. And if the extensions of the Coal Indias or anybody, they have their depots, there is a continuous flow of coal throughout the year, because when the Bricklin industry needs coal, I don't need it, and when I need, they don't need it. You know, but while for an individual or for somebody as a business venture, it can be much longer than we want. A lot of coal comes from Assam also, from Meghalaya also, and now with Margareta coal almost being decided to be closed, shut down. So I don't know, the logistics will become even more difficult. And in fact, there has been an increase of 3,000 rupees a ton in coal between December last year and March this year, because of the logistics. And post-COVID, these things have all added further to the costs.
Yeah, definitely. But what is the quantum of coal required as a raw material or input in the tea industry? If we talk in...
it's almost 1 to a kg. The industry is 9 million kg there. So you can say 9 million kgs of coal is required annually.
Yeah, almost 1 is to 1.
1 is to 1.
There is no consolidation of the demand. Is anybody doing this consolidation of the demand and then procuring coal in bulk from eastern coal fields?
I'm not aware, sir, but certainly everybody is making his own arrangements, and practically 100% coal is coming through the road route, and road route has its own implications.
That is the situation, you know, as a consumer, as an industry, tea industry, when you say the consumption is so huge, almost 1 to 1. So 1 is to 1 consumption, then you must have your, a consolidation of your requirement. At least even the, the tea industry or the Chamber of Commerce or whatever industry body is there, even they can sponsor it maybe on a cooperative basis. I don't know. I mean, the coal industry would not be looking at the tea industry per se as a specific consumer. They would be generally looking at, the consumers. The brick, I think that industry would be having much higher consumption of coal, as I understand. You may give, the greater specific idea about it.
Atul, can you hear me?
Yeah,
Atul,
yes.
can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah. So regarding coal, you have already given a solution like bringing by rail. So that is one solution for your coal. Second, can you think of briquettes? Actually, if you mix the briquettes and coal, maybe your cost will come down. So some in Tripura, some factories in Tripura are already using briquettes. And that is one solution. And third solution that I can think of is natural gas. So as you know, there is a very big project going on in Assam. And what I have come to know, that will go to Tripura as well. So, so coal is your immediate solution that we have already spoken. So I am giving you some solution for future. One is the briquettes. And the second can be the natural gas, because there is a very big project which will come through Assam, and that work is already going on. And I think if Tripura government takes some initiative, then it can be extended up to Tripura. I think that project is going up to Tripura.
Thank you, Mr. Babakakudi. We have explored these options. The natural gas is in abundance in Tripura, but the issue is the infrastructure of pipelines. Presently, the gas has to be moved through cascades, where the cost will be twice to the cost of coal as an input. Only if the natural gas can be utilized as in Upper Assam through your pipelines to the respective estates, only then the cost will become competitive. while on the briquette front, there is a huge possibility of on that because of a huge bamboo industry in Tripura, where the waste of bamboo can be used for briquette making. That has been explored, but nothing much has been done. But while I accept and we will look forward to some of the thoughts given here, and we will see how we, as an industry, we can utilize those. I will thank you, sir. I'll move on to the Teapot Deputy Director, Mr. Arun Ray. I will only like to add here before that, quality is also a very big factor in Tripura. If I see the prices of last 5 years, and I'm comparing because Tripura tea is also clean black and harder cut teas comparative to Doas and Tarai, a little different to what Assam produces. If I see the prices of last 5 years of the auction average, Tripura is almost 25 to 30 rupees lower to the average auction price of Doas and Tarai. That is one area, and almost more than 1/3 of the production is directly from the small tea growers. So that's an area where there was some tea board earlier regulations on price sharing mechanism, which may require to be revisited. And I will go over to the tea board deputy director, Mr. Ray, to add further value to this. Thank you, sir.
He's Mr. Arun Ray. He's the deputy chairman.
Deputy chairman. Sorry, my apologies.
Good afternoon, everybody. As Atul has said, Tripura tea does have unique problems, the biggest being logistics. The idea of sending the tea to Bangladesh for export or for bringing into India needs to be explored, because whatever way you try to bring that tea in, either through train or truck, the cost will be very high. In the future, unless you can get the CNG piped into your factories, and the consumption again in the factory is minuscule, because there are no very big estates in Tripura. The small growers would just not be able to make do with that. So you have to our solution that we are thinking of today is that how do you make Tripura tea viable? You cannot sell tea like the rest of India makes and sells tea. You will never be able to compete on the price point because of your logistic problem, cost of coal coming in, cost of natural resources. Your only advantage may be some advantage in the labor cost. To offset that, as I have told in my earlier meeting also, we are bringing in this traceability norm to the Chai Sahyog. Make your tea traceable, if organic, if possible. Package it and export it out to Burma and the Asian countries, where the tariffs today in a packaged form are running from 15 to 80%. So Tripura tea kind of jostling for its place in the Indian market of 1300 million kgs would again be lost. So how do you make a niche product to make your product better? We have very happily, as I told you, for the small tea growers, we have got a 200 crore funding from the GGI, which is a climate change initiative. And that initiative, we are allowing all the other quality people like Solididad, Trust Tea, Rainforest to come on to our platform and allow the small tea growers, using the funds that we're going to provide, to upgrade their quality. So you have a good quality of small tea growers making a tea. But the problem with the small tea growers with their small quantities is how to market it. They don't have a brand. And a big company like yours come in as a branding or a blending kind of a unit, put up a modern small way where we can help you through the side scheme to set up a 30 crore or 20 crore packaging system in Tripura itself. You package your teas and then try your luck in the packaged tea market. Both in Tripura, the government of Tripura, as I'm given to understand, they're willing to allow you to sell tea in the ration shop. Not a big amount, but they have offered you 18 rupees per 100 grams, that is 180 rupees a kg. And that tea would not need any much of a logistic cost of sending it either to Guwahati or on to this place. The number 2 initiative that we have taken is that we have, in our next program with the Niti Aayog, we have put in 2 warehouses in Tripura, at Dharmanagar and in other tea growing area. So the tea comes into the warehouse, and once it comes in, a new age auctioneer does not need the tea to be moved. It can be auctioned off from the same place. That M Junction platform, which has its own logistic system in place, they would kind of it would take away your headache of moving the keys. Once the key is put into the warehouse in Tripura, it gets sold. Then it becomes a headache of this new platform, M Junction, to take it out. The logistics and the cost, they would be kind of taking out. But Tripura Tea, with your new logo, if you really want to reach out and make a mark for yourself as a leading business entity or a leading tea company of Tripura, you have to find this kind of a new initiative. The same type of initiative we have also done from Kangra tea. Kangra tea, for example, is made at Himachal, but for selling, the Kangra tea has to come to Calcutta. So same thing with the Himachal Pradesh government. We have asked for setting up of two warehouses where the tea can be brought in, catalogued, and then your new age auctioneer, which is a corporate entity, M Junction, they would like to sell the tea, and then the tea moves only one side. If it has to go to Delhi, it goes to Delhi. This is the transaction and money saving in this logistic, this thing by using this technological initiative will be huge. And the saving for Kangra comes to about 12 rupees a kg. They are also facing almost the same difficulty as you are facing. And the delay. The tea does not come to Calcutta in one day. It takes minimum 10 days to come to Calcutta. Again, it goes back. Suppose it ships back to Gujarat, it goes back. That is one part of it. With regard to your power requirement, the biggest factor is you have to find out whether the government of Tripura or the Indian Oil would be able to give you the gas bullets, which are sold at a much cheaper price. If you can get the bullets, then it is cheaper. Ultimately, if you can go over to a solar thing, because in the GGI phase 2, GGI phase 1 is 200 crores, phase 2 is where the Tea Board will be assessing funds from the European Climate Change Fund. There are agencies in the European Union who are giving a climate change fund to India. And if we can get those, you can put up, or 2-3 big estates can put up a common, maybe 50 megawatt power plant, get it grid tied with the company, so that electricity that you produce would be at only 2 rupee or 3 rupee per unit. This can be outsourced. So your energy cost would come down, and then the problem of coal, when you're going for an export market, will be anthraquinol and other things. The contaminants will creep into your tea, and this electricity or the gas, either of these modules, will allow you to make a tea which is fully compliant. The compliant tea with a traceability can have a reach across the globe. So you see, you have to technologically upgrade yourself, work within the difficulties that are imposed on you because of your locational disadvantage. We tried to sell the tea. I know Rudro tried a lot to get some of these tea sold to Bangladesh, but Bangladesh government has declined. But I would say that we can still try to get our teas moved through train through Bangladesh, because from Agartala, the Bangladesh railway system is hardly 10 kilometers or 3 kilometers from across the border. You have the rail line already existing, and that rail line earlier is to reach Calcutta in 9 hours. Before independence, if you sit in the evening, next day morning you're in Tripura. So that system, if you can use with a better bilateral arrangement with maybe Bangladesh, your goods can flow in. But again, it has to be through Bangladesh or Burma. If you want to go in for an export market, and you have to ring fence your production, bring it up to quality, bring it to organic standards, if possible, whichever way you would like to go, cut costs and be competitive. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, sir. In fact, a good insight into M Junction, solar energy, and other ways to deal with the situation. I'm sure the industry will put its mind together to find solutions to that. I'll move to Mr. Rudra Chatterjee in case he wants to add anything on this.
No, thank you, Atul. Sir, I think you focused on the right points, whether it was on logistics or on quality. We will have further conversations on quality later in the program, because Jim Melrose, who runs these tea estates in Africa, especially with smallholder quality, that will be an issue. I think in terms of logistics, we discussed it, we recognized the importance of it, but we are far away from finding a solution. So that is something that we'll have to keep at it. It's not going to be viable till that is found. Till we have, because it is once it is in bringing in coal. So there is an option, as Mr. Barkakoti also mentioned, that maybe there can be non-coal options. There's, as Mr. Ray mentioned, there can be gas options. But at this point, it is very difficult for one company to, select its energy source. It has to be something that the government has to say that we will find the source of energy. I've also spoken about that with the Honorable Chief Minister of Tripura, but that is not something that has been done. The second issue is taking the tea out. So while bringing coal in or energy in, it's an expensive process. Taking the tea out is an expensive process. Absolutely, quality is very important, but I think we are walking uphill. We are challenged because also the band of prices, Tripura last year was 120 rupees, 110 rupees. That is the most competitive band with huge amount of bottling. So it needs to go up by 70, 80 rupees, which is not going to be easy. Nor is, some amount of green tea is possible, some amount of organic tea is possible, but I think the volumes, the success over the big volume, especially for small growers, converting all of them to organic, is a huge effort, and it's going to take a lot of time. So it is a very big challenge. I think I was very keen to hear the Joint Secretary of Commerce from Logistics. I have had conversations with Mr. Pawan Agarwal, who's now West Bengal cadre and now in Ministry of Commerce, looking at as Special Secretary of Logistics. But there has to be some logistics solution. It is not the only, tea is not the only commodity that is affected by this logistics. Everything out of Tripura will be, which is a good versus a service or something, is going to be affected by this logistics. As Sir recognized, I had spoken with Honorable Prime Minister Madam Sheikh Hasina when I was in Bangladesh as President of Indian Chamber of Commerce. She had shown willingness to have Tripura tea imported into Bangladesh. It came out in the newspaper the next day. But for some reason, and we were very lucky to have someone like Mr. Shringla, who is now the Foreign Secretary, at that time pushing that opportunity. But for some reason, Bangladesh continues to buy teas from Sri Lanka at a much higher price. And there's an FTA between Sri Lanka and Bangladesh. So it's a much higher level. The challenges of a small tea industry are very large and very macro, and it's almost national. So we should recognize and at least speak about the challenges today. I don't think we will solve it, but I'm glad that they're being brought up.
Thank you, Mr. Chatterjee. We'll move to the next forum on the exploring the export opportunities for Tripura teas. I will just add that Bangladesh, who is the neighboring country to Tripura, its own consumption, domestic consumption, has been rising very fast. I mean, to the last available records, is close to 90 to 92 million kgs, and its own production is around 82 to 85 million. So there's a deficit of 8 to 10 million kgs, which it certainly imports to cover up its, while Tripura teas hardly find its way into that requirement because of the bilateral issues or some restrictions. I'll request Mr. Bansal, who's the Deputy Secretary, Bangladesh Minister of External Affairs, Government of India, if he can throw some light on that. Welcome, sir.
Can you hear me? Yes. Thank you, Mr. Rastogi ji. Thank you, Rudra. Again, very nice points made. I would, come straight to the point. I believe Rastogi ji made one very important point, which was regarding essentially how to enhance connectivity for Tripura with the rest of India. So, essentially, so that logistics costs can reduce. In this regard, I would like to highlight that I know probably you may be aware that recently on 20th May 2020, both India and Bangladesh, they signed a second addendum to the protocol on the Indian water trade and transit route. So essentially 2 new routes were included in this. One was the Sonamura-Dodkandi stretch. So essentially this essentially would be helpful for Tripura to connect with the rest of India via Bangladesh. Again, it's an economical, it's a cheaper, it's a greener mode of transportation. So I do not know whether the possibility of this route has been explored to bring coal, as you said, Rastogi, from rest of India to Tripura. Secondly, we are also in advanced stages of operationalizing the Chattogram and Mongla ports. So essentially, we have to do a trial run, and after that, sort of, it can start. So essentially, again, it will be very useful for Tripura to use these two Bangladesh ports to export its tree to the outside market, including to India, the rest of India. So just wanted to know those whether if those have been examined at your end vis-a-vis this. Before I conclude, the issue regarding the transport of Tripura tea to Bangladesh, the exports. I mean, this has been, of course, raised regularly, as JS Logistics also would be aware. I mean, it was also taken up recently during the Commerce Secretary level talks, which happened in mid-January this year. Again, I mean, so we we made our point clear that through Chatlapur ICP, if Tripura tea could be allowed to export. So again, the point has been reiterated by India, by GOI at several fora with the Bangladeshi interlocutors. Thank you.
Mr. Bansal, there are two issues. I'm thankful for the government of India working on to address some of our concerns there. The port, as and when it opens, would certainly be a great favor to the state of Tripura. As far as the waterways is concerned, this waterways was explored some time back. The only issue is this waterways has some issues where no insurance company want to insure your goods while in transit. That's a very big fear to the industry for reasons which they understand, but they don't want to give transit insurance on anything moving through the waterway of Bangladesh. That was one concern. Regarding the Bangladesh, out of the 9 million which is produced in Tripura, even if we can find home for 4-5 million in Bangladesh, which is almost close to 75 to 100 crores of value, and if a corresponding value product can be taken from Bangladesh for Tripura or the rest of the country, then the is not in adverse to either side. What happens when they feel that another 100 crores of exports increases and there is no import corresponding to that requirement? The reluctance in the whole system to go for it. That is my thoughts on this. If anybody else has anything to add, I'm more than welcome.
Just one thing before others pitch in, again, on the insurance bit. Thank you for raising that issue. Is there any solution which you have in mind or which has been discussed by you within Tripura as to how this could be addressed? And second thing, I don't know if the figures are correct or not, but as per us, the total global tea imports by Bangladesh last year was around 1.7 million kgs. So it was not sort of that figure. I don't know before that, but for the last year I'm speaking, it was 1.7 million. So
Mr. Bansal, last year was a very low figure, but most years it is much higher. Last year was a record crop by Bangladesh.
Thanks a lot, Mr. Bansal. We will request Mr. Pravat Bejbarua, Chairman Teapot, to add a few words on this. You are mute, sir.
Yeah. What do you want me to add? Basically, what I understand is that your problems are logistical, and you have a problem about your energy source. Basically, that's it. Your wages are a little lower than what they are in West Bengal or Assam, so that's a competitive advantage you have.
Mr. Bejbarua, I'll just interrupt you 1 second. The problem in Tripura is the availability of workers.
Right.
That's why we are mostly doing machine plucking.
Okay. That's in a way that's good, because then you can emulate if you don't have this permanent worker overhang that we have in Assam, maybe you can emulate some of the more efficient producers in Africa, I suppose. I mean, you have experience in Africa. So, that's a different, I'm not sort of, I'm not stressing that aspect, but basically your problems are logistics and energy. Energy, I suppose Falatana should translate into availability of gas, isn't it? I mean, Falatana is the biggest gas find in the northeast, by far the biggest. I'm asking. I mean, shouldn't it translate into?
Yeah, there's a huge infrastructure cost required, Mr. Bejwarua, to make it available to the industry there. And rightly said by one of the speakers that the gardens are very fragmented and far away in Tripura. And the barring Manu Valley, our estate, the rest of the plantations are hovering around 5 to 6 lakh production in a year. And it's not like Assam where you have plantations one by one. So the logistics of providing gas to the states become easier by any agency who's dealing with it. So that's a very big concern in Tripura.
But Assam Gas Company is not a very rich company. And, we have a new gas field on the border of Nagaland and Golaghat, place near Uriam Ghat, Kora Ghat, etc., etc. So they are laying a pipe this winter to connect Golaghat Gardens, and many of them are also not very large. But you're right, they are not 5 lakh. Many of the bottling factories out there are 8-10 lakh kgs capacity. You're right. That is something which we have to overcome. I suppose, apart from the common problems that the entire tea industry is facing across the entire Northeast and North Bengal, apart from that, you have these two problems. The fact that Tripura juts into Bangladesh and the distance from Agartala to Dhaka is only 150 kilometers or less. And the distance from Agartala to Chittagong is 199 kilometers or little more, maybe 199.4. So you were, I suppose we can blame the people who led the country during the time of our partition, because if Tripura was retained, so should Chittagong have been retained. Chittagong Hill Tract was definitely not majority, the community which wanted a separate country. It wasn't majority of that. It was a Muslim majority basically. So there was no reason to give up Chittagong. The fact that the Chittagong Hill Tract and the port was given up has cost Tripura the most, but it has also cost Assam and the entire Northeast. At one time, during prior to partition, Assam, which actually comprised of most of the Northeast, apart from Tripura and Manipur, had the second or third highest per capita income in the country. After 80 years of independence, we are now fifth from the bottom or sixth from the bottom. So we are all suffering from historical blunders that we made in the past. Well, I'm sorry. Here, these sectoral problems, especially with relation to what your industry is suffering in Tripura, I really don't have any answers. I mean, you need to get coal. If you can open up transportation through Bangladesh, even then you will have access to Raniganj coal, to coal from the Bihar and the West Bengal collieries, isn't it? That coal in general used to cost more. I don't know what the situation is now, because Northeast Coalfields also has increased their rates tremendously. But if I remember, when I first joined tea in the early 90s, 89, 90, that coal was far more expensive than Lido Margarita coal. So you're getting it from those collieries across the breadth of Bangladesh into Tripura might make a marginal difference. I don't know how much difference it will make. I suppose, Mr. Rastogi, what might really help you is if the four-laning of the Nagaon-Silchar road.
Yes.
If that 4-laning is completed, there's only a small stretch left, which is just not happening, in North Kachar Hills district.
Yes.
I've been down that road. To cross, when I went, there was about 60 kilometers which were not done. To cross that 60 kilometers took me 3.5 hours.
Yes.
Okay, 4 hours. And I was in a very capable car. So, if that road can be done, if that whole stretch can be 4-lane, then you will have access to North Kachar Hills coal, which is slightly lower calorific value than Margarita, but it's very usable coal. Many factories in Nagaon and North Bank are using that coal. So I think that there's a company called Northeast Coal, no, Assam Coal, Assam Fossil. I'll tell you the name of the company. It's headquartered. It's got a big office in Umrang in North Kachar Hills. So I will give you the name of that company. They have adequate coal reserves. If that road can be opened up, I think instead of looking towards Bangladesh, look towards Assam, and once you can get your coal near Kachar or wherever the road splits to Tripura, I think you should not have a problem about that. I'm ending. I don't have much more to say.
Thank you, Mr. Velu. That's a good insight.
As far as your tea is concerned,
Yes,
as
sir.
far as your tea is concerned, I think the ideal would be to find to place your tea in Bangladesh. That's the way forward. Again, it's a political kind of initiative that has to be. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Velu. Mr. Rudra Chatterjee, would like to add something? He's left. We'll go to Mr. Santosh Shaha.
No, I'm here. Thank you,
Oh, sorry.
Prabhat, for your
I'm sorry, I can't think of it.
Atul, here what you can do, you
Yes,
can take help of the state government. Only you take help of the state government for building the infrastructure, for the pipeline.
Yes.
If the state government, along with the help of the central government, if they help in building the pipelines, rest that expenditure, whatever the current expenditure later on, then the industry can take care of. I understand you are worried about the infrastructure cost because your industry is small, and ONGC along with Government of India, Government of Tripura, if they do that because it is a very labor-intensive industry and large number of workers are involved, looking into all these aspects, if they lay down the pipeline and all, later the recurring expenditure you can pay because it will be much cheaper than coal.
Yes, I fully agree with you. The concern is that only. I'll move to Mr. Santosh Shah, who is the chairman of the Tripura Tea Development Corporation. Mr. Shah, good afternoon. Is Mr. Shah there on the line? I feel, is Mr. Saha there?
I don't think so. He's here. He has actually joined the webinar, but I think as an attendee.
Okay.
Atul, do you want to start with Jim? Because I can see him. Maybe he can go and then.
Yeah, we can go to the next topic.
Yeah. In fact,
Mr. Subhas Das is there, Additional Director, Industrial
Yes.
Department.
Yeah, Mr. Atul, just a point to add. I just want to also
yes, sir.
maybe I can suggest something. Is Tripura a power deficit state?
It is not, sir.
It's not. And do we necessarily need to use either coal energy source from coal or gas? Or we can,
We can any biomass fuel or anything can, because coal is easily available, easy to store, and that has been the reason for dependence.
So can we use electricity for your purposes?
No.
No, but I'll just give you a little background. Because of the high cost of coal over the last 2-3 months and post COVID, the logistic costs have gone higher. We've moved off to furnace oil, and we are running our factory on furnace oil for last month and a half. that is brought in a cost saving almost 3 rupees a kg, because presently the furnace oil costs are low. But in case it increases, we will have to review that plot.
So what do you use? I mean, it's a naive question, but what do you use power for in the tea industry? It is you operate boilers or what?
The power is required to run machineries. Fuel is required for drying tea. The major requirement is for drying tea.
So can it be done through some electric power-based machines?
It can be, but the cost of electricity will be far higher than it can be done.
In fact,
I was just thinking, if we can use electricity, then electricity can easily be transported through transmission lines, even from other states, even from Assam or West Bengal.
See, Mr. Surendra.
Yeah.
In fact, all machines run on electricity only.
We have worked with
except one
we have
machine.
worked with RF drying of tea. It is not. It's not successful yet.
Okay.
Fully until we can sort of innovate a little and get microwave drying or RF drying. That's as of now. It's not a commercially viable option. But we'll continue to work on it. There are no commercially viable machines which can do it here. I mean, Sikkim, there's a garden called Temi in Sikkim, which is working on electric drying, RF drying of tea. But Sikkim produces only 80,000 kgs of tea. So we'll have to take a call on that.
I was just saying, I'll further re-emphasize the consolidation aspect. If there can be a separate business, of tea drying alone. The industry comes together to establish dryer farms or whatever, tea drying farms. Is it a possibility? I mean, just a vague imagination. Can we think about it?
Just to help you to understand this, when the tea goes into the dryer, it has around 67 to 68% of moisture. And post the dryer, it is around 3%, 2 to 3% moisture. So you're removing almost 65% moisture from the produce during this period of drying, which is over a 15 to 20 minutes operation.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, sir. I will move to Mr. Jim Melrose, who is the CEO of Silverback Tea Company based in Rwanda. This is just for understanding of the Rwandan model, which is selling tea at the highest today in the Mombasa auction, and it's largely dependent on the small tea growers. Over to Jim. Jim, you are on mute, please. Jim, you are on mute. You have to unmute yourself. Jim, you are on mute, please. You have to unmute yourself, Jim. Thank you. Carry on. Unmute yourself. Jim, unmute yourself. Unmute yourself, Jim. You are on mute. We can't hear you.
Is that okay? Can you hear me now?
Perfect. Carry on, Jim.
Okay. Good afternoon, everybody. I've been involved in the tea industry for about the last 40 years in Africa. And I thought it'd be useful to share an insight into the way that the quality model works in Rwanda. Rwanda produced some very, very good teas. And I thought it would be interesting to share the model with you, just because I believe it may be applicable to the Tripura situation. Okay, most countries in Africa, like Kenya, Uganda, Tanzania, and Malawi, follow a similar model whereby smallholder leaf is purchased on a per kg basis. Generally, it's sold on the free market, which means that growers are allowed to sell their tea to anybody, and basically they end up selling it to the highest bidder. The problem with this is that it does not foster any sort of loyalty, and it doesn't mean that there's any focus on quality. Leaf is seldom rejected when it gets sent into the factories, and in many cases, the purchase of the leaf is actually compulsory, irrespective of the quality of the product itself. So in this perennial battle which takes place between quantity and quality, inevitably quantity is the king. And this is a major contributory factor in the oversupply situation and the low prices which we are seeing in Africa and very evident on the Mombasa auction today. If we can switch to the Rwandan model, in the Rwandan model, the smallholders are zoned to a processing factory and they're obliged to sell tea only to that factory. This prevents the price war, number one, and it forces the partners to work together for their common benefit. Both parties are jointly responsible for the quality and they are not expected to accept any leaf if it does not meet the quality standard. And that's very, very important point. This is important because the grower, if he doesn't meet the quality standard, he simply doesn't have a market for his tea. So he has to meet that quality standard. That's very, very important point. Most factories in Rwanda, as a result, actually receive leaf which is above 65% fine leaf, and that is the main reason why they produce superior teas. If one looks at the rankings in Mombasa, you will see that 6 out of the top 10 marks in the whole of that auction are from Rwanda. In addition to that, the demand is also strong at the top end of the market because there's few people who produce those superior teas. And even in a depressed market like we find ourselves now, the demand is very strong. So how does this formula work? It's very, very simple. Up until December last year, 40% of the average sale price was being paid out to the smallholders as a bonus. As of the 1st of January this year, that was increased to 50%. And the way that it works is that you analyze the sales prices on the Mombasa auction and for private sales for the last quarter, and then you take 50% of that price, you convert it into a green leaf price, and that is what the premium consists of. It's very, very simple formula. Both parties understand it, and that's very important because they need to be driving for the same goal. This figure is then converted into Rwanda francs, and it is paid out to the farmers. So basically, it's predicated on the previous 3 months of production, and everybody understands exactly what it is. It's all in the public domain, and it's completely transparent. So everybody knows what is happening. So this Rwandan model is, in my opinion, sustainable, and it's particularly suited to areas where production is limited. Like Rwanda, their production is relatively small compared to the giant next door to them, which is Kenya. However, they've been able to stand on their own 2 feet because they produce the superior product and there's demand for it. The market is becoming more and more discerning and demanding of good teas across the world, and nowhere is that more evident than in India. So I believe there is an opportunity for the Tripura government to adopt such a model so that they can encourage the smallholders there, which contribute a large amount of tea into the industry, to really concentrate on quality, because quality is where it all happens, and that's what it's all about in the industry today. So I just felt it would be interesting to share this model with you so that it gives you some food for thought. Thank you.
Thank you, Jim. That was very kind of you to give an explicit overview of the Rwandan model. I will move to Mr. Subhash Das, the Additional Director, Department of Industries, Government of Tripura. Mr. Das? Mr. Das, can you hear me? Okay, till Mr. Das connects to us, we will wait for him. But Mr. Bakakuti, I will like your view. You've been dealing with small growers in a very big way. Your thoughts on it?
Very good to hear from you, James. How do you calculate? You said 50%. Suppose your tea is sold at 100 Indian rupees. How do you calculate the price sharing with small tea growers?
It's very simple. Whatever the average price for the factory is for the previous 3 months, you just take 50% of that, you divide it by 4,5 just to convert it into green leaf, and that's what's paid to the grower. It's simple as that.
And you said that in Rwanda, small tea growers are aligned to a particular factory, is not it?
Everybody is zoned, geographically zoned, and you may not sell tea outside of that zone.
Okay,
So you're forcing a partnership.
A grower can give only to a particular factory, supply to a particular factory.
That is correct.
And is there graded price? I mean, if suppose one supplies 75% of fine leaf and one supplies 65% fine leaf, will the 75% fine leaf supplier will get more price or not?
Well, the answer is yes, and the reason is because if you're getting a better product coming into the factory, you'll produce a better tea and you'll get a higher price at the end of the day. So a grower supplying to factory A will not get the same as factory B because it all depends on the price that they realize, whether they sell it through the auction or on private treaty. So the answer is that the better quality leaf does get a better price.
Okay, that's very interesting. But here we have large number of small tea growers, and the factories are, many factories are very in close proximity. So it is becoming difficult for us to align a particular grower with a particular factory. But maybe someday we may also have to study your model so that it is a win-win situation for the manufacturers as well as for the small tea growers. How many? I mean, what is the percentage of small tea growers you have? It is almost 90%, or
it in some factories it's as high as 90%, but all factories are required to buy a smallholder leaf.
Okay.
I will just add here, Jim. Mr. Barkot is asking what is the percentage of the small tea. Generally, factories are working on 80% plus contribution from the small growers.
Okay.
And what you were asking about for the same factory, because all are aligned to a particular factory. If within the small growers, there are people who are giving 70 plus, and some are giving 65 plus. What has been done is that the 50% price mechanism sharing, the 45 goes to every farmer, and the 5% gets into a quality incentive, and people who are above 70 or above 68 get an additional amount.
That's what I wanted to ask. If one gives a better quality leaf,
yes,
he
yes.
should get a better price. So that is getting getting there.
Yeah.
And the minimum acceptable fine leaf count?
60% is minimum, but factories are getting 65% plus. Because any leaf below 60 is rejected. It's not accepted.
It is throughout the year, it is 60 is the minimum.
Yeah, throughout the year, there is a climate advantage because there are no peak flushes or lean periods. It's practically a flat crop graph throughout the year.
Yeah. So that is a big advantage.
Yes.
Mr. Subhash Das has joined.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Kakuti. Welcome, Mr. Subhash Das. We will like a few words from you, sir. We can't hear you, Mr. Das.
Yeah, he has joined. Mr. Das?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
So please address us.
Yeah. So thank you, ICC, for conducting this webinar, and of different renowned people across the globe, right from Rwanda to Northeast and Calcutta. The problem we have has been discussed, but there are issues like, see, there is a stigma in the auction market. Tripura tea cannot be even at par with the Kachar or even at par with Doers. And because of this stigma, we may have bad patches, but during last 10-15 years, our plant community sufficient initiative to replace their old worn-out machineries, putting new machineries, taking all sensitive measures to make good teas. But the way they have done the investment and the initiative they have taken, that has not been reciprocated in the auction market. So in today's August session, it is my humble request, ICC or maybe ministry or maybe Teapot should make some kind of exercise to find out what are the reasons or issues for which Tripura is not getting the judicious price or genuine price in auction market. It is the planting community, they are telling that the tea they are making is sometimes even superior. Not always, sometimes is superior or at par with Kachar or Dwars, but that has not been reflected in the auction market. So this is a issue I want to place before today's August session. Hopefully something good or some comment would be made based on my I have made and issues.
Yeah,
Hello.
Mr. Das.
And issues, yeah, you have raised here. Yes, we are power surplus. Regarding coal, lot of things were discussed. Even today also, our secretary has again demanded concerned public sector undertaking to make all kinds of efforts so that everything should be in place within July 31st and we will get a handler. Coal India has already allocated empty ton coal for Tripura, which will fulfill the requirement of Tripura tea industry and the brick kilns. But unfortunately, for whatever reason, in spite of inviting 3-4 tenders, we could not find any vibrant or who could fulfill the requirement of the tender to handle our coals. Again, it is in the pipeline, and 31st July has been put the cutoff date. And if nothing has materializes, then we have to give a new thought. But government is very serious on these issues, especially the coal. Regarding making availability of gas through cascade, efforts were made at least to start with one factory, which is very nearby to the city and very nearby to the gas gathering center. But even then, as Mr. That it is not, it is a little bad. So if I am in the business, then there has to be economical parameters and it has to be honored. So for this reason, though Tripura Natural Gas Company has come forward to give gas through cascade, but we are not able to use it. But as said others, that if it goes through pipe or through bullet, maybe the price will come down, because there is a cost involved for supplying gas through cascade. And other like sending tea through waterways, sending tea through Bangladesh train service. These are in the pipelines. Definitely in our subsequent state level interactions, these issues would be definitely delivered and discussed. Moreover, compared to earlier period, our rate in the auction market has little bit enhanced. I think with further intervention of Teapot, then ministry and the industry stakeholders, we will find good fortune even in the auction market days to come. Thank you. This much only. I want to have some comment from the experts based on my discuss. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr.
Mr. Santosh Shah has joined.
Yeah, welcome, Mr. Shah. Thank you,
Time
Mr. Das.
Time is little short.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Das. In fact, inconsistent quality has been one of the major reasons of Tripura tea suffering in the auction. I mean, that is the main concern. We will discuss separately on that, but I welcome Mr. Santosh Shah, the chairman of TTDC, Tripura Tea Development Corporation. Mr. Shah, we look for a few words from you, sir.
Thank you all. Thank you, ICC, for organizing. I am here. আমি সবাইকে শুনছিলাম, আমি তো এতক্ষণ ধরে সবাই ইংরেজি শুনতে শুনতে এখন আমি একটু, কারণ আমি একটা গ্যাস করেছি সবাই বাংলা স্পিকিং এর মানুষ, আমি বাংলাতে বলার চেষ্টা করছি। তো আমি প্রবলেমটা আমি শুনলাম, আপনাদের সমস্ত প্রবলেম, টি ইন্ডাস্ট্রি, বড় বড় যারা টি ইন্ডাস্ট্রির সঙ্গে দীর্ঘ বছর যুক্ত, তাদের আলোচনা আমি শুনলাম, ভালো লাগলো। একটা জায়গায় আমার মনে হয়েছে যে আমরা কোথাও না কোথাও আমাদের মধ্যে টোটাল টি ইন্ডাস্ট্রির মধ্যে কোঅর্ডিনেশনের পরিলক্ষিত আমার হয়েছে। অভিজ্ঞতা গত চেয়ারম্যান হিসেবে লাস্ট 2 ইয়ার্স, যে অ্যাকচুয়ালি আউটসাইড ত্রিপুরা, আইদার কি গুয়াহাটি অর কলকাতা, এখানে একটা বিশাল গ্যাপ আমাদের মধ্যে দীর্ঘদিন। তো ত্রিপুরা সেটাই আমাদের সাথে কয়লা কম্পারিজন উইথ দি গ্যাস অ্যান্ড কোল আমরা চেষ্টা করেছি। এখানে ভিত্তিক যদি আমাদের অনেকগুলি প্রবলেম এই কারণে কি কয়লা থেকে গ্যাসের কিন্তু দামটা কয়লা, এবং সেটা যাতে মুখ্যমন্ত্রী বাংলাদেশে আমরা যাতে এক্সপোর্ট করতে, তো সেই ক্ষেত্রে আমরা একটা জিনিস উপলব্ধি করেছি যে ত্রিপুরার চা বাংলাদেশে বেঙ্গল যে অকশন মার্কেট, সেখানে আমরা যেতে পারি। এবং আমাদের রাজ্যের মুখ্যমন্ত্রী যেটা রুদ্রবাবু বা অন্যরা বলে বাংলাদেশকে করিডোর করা, সেটা কলকাতাতেই হোক, ট্রান্সপোর্টেশনের ক্ষেত্রেই হোক, তো এটা অনেক ক্ষেত্র। এবং আমাদের সাবরুমে নতুন করে আমরা রেসিজেট হয়েছে, সেখানেও আমরা আস্তে আস্তে এটাকেও আমরা ইউজ করতে পারবো ভবিষ্যতে। আমাদের মুখ্যমন্ত্রী কথা বলেছেন বাংলাদেশের প্রধানমন্ত্রীর সঙ্গে, যাতে ত্রিপুরার চা আমরা বাংলাদেশে আমরা এক্সপোর্ট করতে পারি। কারণ কি বাংলাদেশ শ্রীলঙ্কার থেকে যে চাটা তারা নিয়ে যায়, আমরা যদি ত্রিপুরার চাটা যদি বাংলাদেশে দিতে পারি, তাহলে ত্রিপুরার চায়ের যে আমরা কস্ট অফ প্রাইস, আমরা মনে হয় আমাদের যে উৎপাদন থেকে আমাদের দামটা আমরা অনেক কম পাই। এটা অনেক ক্ষেত্রে অনেক রকম প্রবলেম আমরা ফেস করছি। অন অ্যান এভারেজ আমাদের ত্রিপুরার চা 130 রুপিস আমাদের বিক্রি করতে হয়, এত লং দূরে গিয়ে। একদিন শ্রমিকের প্রবলেম, আর ত্রিপুরাতে একমাত্র 100 বছরের পুরানো ইন্ডাস্ট্রি এখনো বেঁচে আছে। ত্রিপুরাতে যারা স্টেক হোল্ডার, তাদের মধ্যে আমার মনে হয় কোথাও একটা কোঅর্ডিনেশনের গ্যাপ আমি যা উপলব্ধি করে। আমি মনে করি যে টি ইন্ডাস্ট্রি আমরা যদি
I think connectivity is poor from Mr. Shah. We can't hear you, sir.
You can't hear me? Yes.
ত্রিপুরাতে না করে আমরা কিভাবে ত্রিপুরার চাকে আমরা উপস্থাপন করতে পারি। ত্রিপুরাতে প্রায় নিয়ার অ্যাবাউট 2500-এর মতো স্মল গ্রোয়ার্স ত্রিপুরাতে আছে। তো এটা বিশাল
Hello.
Thank you, Mr. Saab. Yes. Mr. Shah, I think
you can
so.
request Dr. Pradeep Barua to give your views.
ধীরে ধীরে থোড়া তাহলে আমাদের কলার ক্ষেত্রে হোক, মার্কেটিং এর ক্ষেত্রে হোক,
there is another
নেটওয়ার্ক এরিয়ার মধ্যে আমাদের আরো বেশি কাজ করতে আমাদের দরকার। তো আমরা আশা করি আগামী দিনে আমরা বোর্ড অফ ইন্ডিয়ার ভাইস চেয়ারম্যানের সঙ্গে কথা বলেছি, বরকাকতির সঙ্গে আমার কথা হয়েছে টাইম এন্ড এগেইন। তো আমরা ইভেন একটা কথা আপনাদের আমি বলতে চাই, আমরা কত ইন্ডাস্ট্রির ব্যাপারে আমরা সক্রিয়। আমাদের এখানটায় আমাদের মুখ্যমন্ত্রী লকডাউনের পরে ফার্স্ট ত্রিপুরা টি ইন্ডাস্ট্রিকে ওপেন করেছি এপ্রিল মাসের 5 তারিখে ওপেন করেছি। সো আমরা এত বেশি সক্রিয় আমাদের এখানে, আমরা আগামী দিনে আমরা ধীরে ধীরে ত্রিপুরা টি ইন্ডাস্ট্রিকে আমরা আরো আশা করি। আজকে যেভাবে আইসিসি যেভাবে এই ধরনের সেমিনার অর্গানাইজ করছেন, আমরা তাদেরকে ধন্যবাদ জানাই। ত্রিপুরা টি ইন্ডাস্ট্রির কোথায় প্রবলেম কি, আলোচনার মধ্যে সমস্ত বক্তারাই কিন্তু ত্রিপুরার চাকে আরো কিভাবে সমৃদ্ধ করা যায় আলোচনা করেছেন। এর জন্য আমি চেয়ারম্যান ত্রিপুরা টি কর্পোরেশন, আমি সবাইকে ধন্যবাদ জানাই যে এভরিবডি ইজ অ্যাওয়ার অফ ত্রিপুরা টি। বিশেষ করে রৌদ্র চ্যাটার্জি ভালোভাবেই জানেন যে উনিও মুখ্যমন্ত্রীর সঙ্গে টাইম এন্ড এগেইন কথা বলেছেন যে ত্রিপুরা টিকে কিভাবে মার্কেটিং করা যায়, কিভাবে ভালো দাম পাওয়া যায়। কারণ আমরা উৎপাদন যতই না করি বেশি, যতক্ষণ পর্যন্ত আমরা মার্কেটকে কনফার্ম করতে না পারবো, যতক্ষণ উৎপাদন কস্ট থেকে আমাদের মার্কেট রেট বেশি না হবে, ততক্ষণ পর্যন্ত ইন্ডাস্ট্রিকে বাঁচানো যাবে না। সুতরাং এই ব্যাপার নিয়ে আমার মনে হয় আগামী দিনে আমার অনুরোধ থাকবে ইন্ডিয়ান চেম্বার অফ কমার্সের কাছে যে তারা যাতে এই ধরনের সেমিনার আরো, করোনা পরিস্থিতির পরে এমনি ড্যামেজ করেছে আমাদের সারা ভারতবর্ষের সঙ্গে, ত্রিপুরা টি ইন্ডাস্ট্রিকেও ভারতবর্ষের টি ইন্ডাস্ট্রিকে আঘাত করেছে। সুতরাং আগামী দিনে ভারতবর্ষের ইকোনমি কোথায় গিয়ে দাঁড়াবে, কোথায় আমরা গিয়ে দাঁড়াবো, কোথায় টি ইন্ডাস্ট্রি কি হবে, কোথায় আমাদের ত্রিপুরার কি দাম হবে।
থ্যাংক ইউ স্যার। আমাদের আরেকটা প্রোগ্রাম আছে 3টে থেকে। মিস্টার সাহা,
বলুন।
আমাদের আরেকটা 3টে থেকে প্রোগ্রাম আছে। আমাদের এমিনেন্ট প্যানেলিস্টরা সবাই এসে গেছে।
আমরা জাস্ট আমাকে যদি
স্যার আমরা নিশ্চয়ই আপনাকে আমরা ডিটেইল রিপোর্ট পাঠাবো। থ্যাংক ইউ স্যার ফর ইওর প্রেজেন্স। Dr. Pradeep Barua, if you can kindly address us very briefly.
Sure. I'll be very brief. Can you hear me?
Yes, please.
Okay.
Thank you.
Wonderful. Actually, winner for Tripura tea. I spent about years of my life working as an advisory officer and as a chief advisory by ICC, and the panelists of that on especially in Tripura tea is very unique, and I'm really happy. I have got a long association with Tripura tea. Having said that, now specifically I have been asked to speak about the organic tea production and the specialty potato prospects. That was what even I'm saying. Let me tell you, the Prime Minister of India, the Honorable Prime Minister of India, he has given that Northeast should be the organic hub. It is an organic hub. So first of all, I feel whatever the schemes of Government of India that is there for organic tea production, all those schemes we should try to take into the tea industry. Whatever the different policies are there, different schemes are there, we have to take full advantage of that. And Tripura has got good potential. It is just like another tea growing area of India. The logistic problem, other problems are there. The tea growing, it is equivalent to Kachar, or it may be better in certain. So all the possibilities are there. So what we can say that we can give the best possible training on organic tea production. So organic tea production is not that only if you are not using any chemical or you are using cow dung, then that is not only as simple as that. Organic tea is very big. Actually, what is the concept of organic? The different components of organic these are very big. Now, beyond that, the biodynamic concept has also come. So all these concepts of organic, like we can train them, can train people, and so that Tripura makes some very good quality of high quality organic tea. As well as, in addition to that, small tea growers of Tripura, I have visited many areas where all these were started about 15 years back while I was there. So I know the areas, and the small tea growers, whatever the different type of teas they are making, that if government wants, the tea industry wants over there, they can motivate them to make some specialty teas. By specialty, I mean, there is a demand for different types of your tea, there is a demand for yellow tea. Just two of them I'm mentioning. That kind of tea, that specialty teas can be manufactured in Tripura. But the problem of always with tea is the marketing. So what I feel that government of India, the tea board, or the government of Tripura, there should be a special initiative to market these specialty teas, organic teas differently. So if we generally market teas as general, all teas, this is a commodity. So it should not be just a commodity. It should be like a brand value. It should have a specialty. The Tripura tea can be something like a branded. It should be something special. There is something special in certain place. So that should be focused. We'll be making normal kind of tea, that will be marketing, that will be selling to auction and other means, while all the other speakers have spoken. But there should be a segment for the small tea growers and the organic teas growers in particular, where they can make some specialty teas, organic teas. For that, Tuklai can train them up how to make the organic teas. In fact, we are going to start a course on organic tea production. That will be a very unique course. And then the problem is finally comes to how to market the teas. So I think there is a strong need of marketing this kind of specialty. Why they are good? Why better than special about it? Final consumers, they must be educated on the goodness of the specialty teas, goodness of the Tripura tea. And definitely there will be a good market, in addition to what my previous speakers have said. I just like to complete a versatile product. I used to want to use the word versatility. It's not necessary that you take only like the black orthodox tea, or you take only black. Then you start the morning with a nice cup of your orthodox tea. Then after that you switch over to black tea. The day you take green tea, in the evening you take a cup the milk. Then the day you take different types of tea. The concept that we can go to the teas and different types of tea can be produced, and Tripura can be a pioneer. But the only suggestion is that we must promote them well, and it will not be marketed like all other teas, not general. There's a special marketing for the specialty teas and the organic. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Very quickly, I would request Mr. Kamal Vaidya to just sum up the session, because other eminent panelists are already online. Just Mr. Vaidya.
Can you hear me? Hello?
Yes, yes.
Mr. Vaidya.
Yes. Please carry on.
Good afternoon. Anyway, I mean, my previous speakers, they have already covered the problem, like logistic, transportation, all. But I was there in Tripura for the last 5 years. So what I personally feel, what is the strength of Tripura industry? To my knowledge, to my feelings, Tripura industry, the strength is that we are using very less chemicals as compared to the other tea growing area of India. In Tripura, on an average, we are spending around 4,000 to 7,000 rupees per hectare, which include your chemicals like pesticide, acaricide, and mandates also. This is the case of the big growers. Even in small grower, the quantum of this pesticide use is much lesser. So we must focus on this strength and market our tea in the domestic and international market. As I know that Tripura, some of the gardens like Monobeli, Durgabari, they're making very good tea. Their average price is lying in between 140, 150, the Durgabari 130, 140. So what I mean to say, there is the inherent character, inherent strength of the Tripura tea. So we must focus on this thing. Another issue, just shortly I have to say, like instead of encouraging the more processing unit, already in Tripura there are around 25 factories. Already 5 factories are closed. Their approved installed capacity is around 14 million kg. And in Tripura, the highest production is 9.7 million kg, that too in the year 2016. So, except 1 or 2 factories like Monobeli, who is making around 30 lakhs, or good Durgabari, where the expansion may be required. But otherwise, I believe we should not encourage for setting up a big factory or expansion factory. But of course, we can go for mini tea factory for the small tea growers who can make specialty tea, who can improve the quality and compete in the international market. Because the small tea growers, this tea are young, juvenile, their cost of production is less. So only they need some guidance, only they need some handholding. So they are with their low cost and low quality, we must move to them to the value chain of low cost with high quality. So with these few words, I would like to conclude my speech. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Vaishya. On behalf of Indian Chamber of Commerce, we convey our sincere thanks to all the panelists today present here, and also special thanks to Tea Board of India and also Department of Industries, Government of Tripura for supporting this initiative. Now we will have the third session on tea. Over to my colleague, Madam Shoma Mukherjee. I apologize for the delay of around 8 minutes to the next panelists. So over to Shoma. Thank you very much. Thanks.